Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. Alright, I got a little project I want to work on. This is actually something I've been thinking about ever since I moved into the house. There was a little issue with this storm shelter, and it's basically the only problem with it, and it dawned on me what the solution is. Let me show you what the problem is. So this is the inside of the storm shelter here, and it's actually, basically everything you would need in case there was a tornado or something going on. But there's one problem, and it's this light bulb right here. And the problem is, I'm a relatively tall guy, and someday I'm going to walk in here at the wrong time. I'm not going to, it's going to be an emergency. I need to get in here quick, and I'm going to hit my head on this. I'm going to break this. Now, this is an LED bulb, so it's not like there's voltage in there, and I'm likely to get electrocuted from doing that. But it's possible that at some point when I need to get in here, and need to have some light on here, I'm going to maybe break this bulb and eliminate my light source in here. And like I said, I've been thinking about what I can do for this for quite a while, and actually it dawned on me yesterday when I was walking around in the house. Let me show you what I got in mind. Now, you may recall that a couple of months ago I installed these night lights in the hall. We have periodic blackouts here in Waco, and from time to time what ends up happening is you lose the power, and all of a sudden the house is really, really dark. So I went to Home Depot to find some little battery backup night lights, and this is what I got. And these are kind of cool because they're always on at a very, very low level, and so even when the power is not on or not off, these are always on at a little bit. But what ends up happening, what's really great about these things, is when the power goes out, it turns into a flashlight, or there's several modes here where you can have a bright flashlight, or this thing turns into kind of a floodlight kind of thing. And at this point it's like probably 5 times as bright as its normal mode. And if I had one of these attached to the ceiling in the storm shelter, basically replace that electric or that light fixture and the light bulb, and put just a standard electrical outlet in its place, then I could plug one of these into the ceiling, and like I said, there'd always be a low level amount of light in the room even when there's no problem. And in the event that a tornado happened or something like that and knocked out the power, this thing comes on with a battery backup and will provide hours and hours of light. So that just seems like a real great solution, because this thing's less than an inch thick. And so if I replace the fixture in the storm shelter with a standard electrical outlet, put a plate around it, I could just plug this thing into the underside, and like I said, there'd always be a low level amount of light in the shelter. But in an emergency, if the power got knocked out, it would go to full brightness mode, and that's a better option because I ain't gonna hit my head on that thing. So I'm gonna run over to Home Depot, buy an electrical outlet, faceplate or a receptacle, a faceplate, probably a metal one because it's a 2-gang breakout box in the storm shelter, and then another one of these things. And I think this is gonna be a good solution for inside the storm shelter. Alright, I'm back from Home Depot. I got 2 of these little battery power failure lights that like I had in the hall and at the entryway. I got a single power receptacle and an extra large faceplate. So I think that's going to be all I really need to do. One of the things I want to do with this thing has an electric eye on it, and if you walk in front of it, it turns the light on. I found that was really annoying, so I actually covered this thing up with a piece of tape, and I'm going to do the same thing here. All I really want is the low light when the power is on and the highlight when the power goes out. So that's all I really need for that, and so the rest of it is kind of pointless, and so I'm going to just cover that up. I think in this case I'm actually going to use a little black spray paint and just spray paint over the eye, because the tape that I was using before, it worked all right, but it wasn't working that well. So I think the paint will be a little better option. Alright, so I've sprayed a little spray paint over the electric eye so that does not cause the thing, because like I said, I don't want it flashing on and off every time somebody walks by or anytime there's motion. I just want it on at a low level under normal circumstances and at a high level when the power goes out. which means the next step is to begin the installation process. And I've referred to my handy dandy wiring chart, and it turns out that the power for the garage, including the storm shelter, is on breaker 29. So I'm going to turn that off, and unfortunately all the lights in the garage are going to go off because they're on the same breaker, but that's the way it goes. It's actually, there's enough ambient light in here with the garage door open that I'll be able to do this without any problems. Now the next step is just to take this fixture off, and that's just held on with 2 screws, one here and one on the back side. So we'll remove that, disconnect the wiring, remove the whole fitting, and go from there. Alright, so we got the light fixture out. We've attached the receptacle. I'm going to turn the power back on and put a little power cable tester on there just to make sure everything's wired up right. And then we ought to just button this thing up, and it should work pretty good. I ultimately did decide to bring some more light in here. There was a little bit of light in here, but it was a little on the dark side. So I decided to bring in my little spotlight here and light that up. So I think we're looking pretty good. Let's turn the power back on, see what happens, and let's test this circuit. So this is definitely one of these things that every household should have. If you do anything electrical, this is just a little plug that you can buy at any hardware store, and you can plug it into an electrical outlet and it'll tell you if everything's wired right. Basically, there's just a little lookup chart here, and according to this, it's correct wiring if the outside lights are lit and the center one isn't. And that's what we got. The outside lights are lit and the center one is dark. So we got correct wiring. I didn't really expect that was going to be an issue because these things are pretty foolproof. But it's always a good thing to check, because who knows, maybe somebody wired something else wrong. Alright, so I got everything in. It's looking pretty good to me. I'm going to probably end up covering up the sensors in there that tell when it's light, because sometimes when the doors open, there's enough ambient light in here that the lights go out. So I'd actually kind of like to get it to the point where it's dark or it's partially on all the time. So in an emergency, there's always a little bit of light in here, even if it's dark in the yard or dark in the garage. But you can see now already both the lights have gone out because there's enough light in the room right now to make it work. But like I said, if you block the eye, then the low level light comes on, and that's sort of what I want for all of these. But of course, the most important part is the fact that I can now walk under it and not bump my head, which is a good thing. Because, like I said before, if you get to the point where you're panicking and you're getting into the shelter because there's a tornado coming and you're not necessarily paying attention to what's going over your head, you break the light bulb and all of a sudden you're locked in this box in the dark, and that's not going to be any fun. So this is definitely a definite improvement. It'll give me light in here. I've also got these little push lights that are here. This one here, this one here. I could probably put new batteries in them because I think they're both dead right now. But that's something we can work on. But it is good at this point to have these lights in here, because now these are on a battery, and so even if we lose the power, we're going to be in good shape. Alright, let's do the official test now. What I'm going to do is the lights are on in their normal ambient mode, and I'm going to trip the breaker to simulate a power outage, and let's see if the lights come on. I call that a success. I think we have successfully completed this project. So anyway, I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.